plane.
My favorite thing at Jeju Island was going to the market and seeing a fish. Because I got to touch them and squeeze one.
My favorite thing that we did on Jeju Island was going to the 4 3-piece park because it gave us this window into the conflict between North and South Korea from a historical perspective that was outside America.
My favorite part of visiting Jeju Island was all the amazing hikes in the mountains and the waterfalls and all the really cool scenery that we got to explore.
My favorite thing in Jeju was the submarine. It was my favorite because there were lots of fishies and I saw a puffer fish and it went really, really deep into the water. My favorite thing on Jeju Island was a park. It was really cool because it had monkey bars, a seesaw, and a tennis field, and all the things I loved. The second one I loved was a yummy Chinese food with pot stickers and green noodles.
Say, I ate lots of sand in Jeju.
My favorite thing was the beach. Jeju, Jeju, Jeju.
Okay, welcome to the Diapers on a Plane podcast. This is week number 14, which means we just finished up our 4th week here in South Korea, and we're trying something a little bit different today. We are filming in a park. What park is this?
This is Jeongmun Park.
Jeongmun Park, so it's really close to the Incheon Town Center, or City Hall.
City Hall.
Really close to the City Hall and as the church we also attend. And we wanted to do this because our apartment was just a terrible place to shoot podcasts. It had that white wall, the lighting was bad because we usually shoot after the kids go to sleep. And we look exhausted and fatigued, and so we're trying to liven it up a little bit by being outside in some nice sunlight and a nice beautiful park.
So last week, one of the things we mentioned was that a lot of things end with the word mun, like Dongmun Market, and we said that we were going to figure out what. So really quick, we are at this park, which is awesome, but there are tons of giant ants. Like, they're huge and they're everywhere, and one was just crawling on me. So,
which I'm going to interrupt again. It's a beautiful park. So in the background, you're going to have some fun ambient music. There's some gentlemen playing some kind of version of volleyball, except that it's like a tennis height net, and
they're kicking it.
And they're kicking it. So it's like
but it's a volleyball ball.
But they only use your feet. Pretty cool. And then behind that, there's a big water park. I think we'll take some video of the kid playing in that, the shooting water. So you might hear some screamings of joy of the kids being splashed by water.
It's all part and parcel of this beautiful time here in South Korea.
Yes.
So back to the mun. We said we were going to figure out what that mun suffix means. And it actually is typically related to a name. So that makes sense because we've seen it at a lot of markets and a lot of names of things. So when you add the suffix mun to another word, it indicates that it's a name. So it's a little fun fact for you. So
this is Park Mun?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I think it's like Story Park or Art Park. Something to do with art.
Yeah, arts, cultural, something. Yeah. So here we are. So we're here in South Korea. What we did in week 4 is we went to Jeju Island. So if you're following along on our blog at diapersonaplane.com, you will know already that we found ultra, ultra, ultra cheap. We are going to take a minute to let you think of the cheapest airfare that you can think of to pay for a flight.
And while you're thinking, so originally our plan was to go to Tokyo Disneyland from here because we're so close. So we usually fly standby. But even flying standby, the tickets were ridiculous, and we would have had to have gone through Hong Kong and then to Tokyo,
back to Japan.
And it was just crazy. And so we kind of resigned ourselves to saying, hey, we're just going to travel around here nearby, and we were okay with that.
All right, so do you have that in your head? What is the cheapest price for airfare, American dollars, that you can think of? Is it 50?
100?
30? We got tickets to Jeju Island from Seoul, South Korea for $15.
$15. So that's on Jeon Air.
Jeon Air.
Which also flies to Hong Kong, which also flies to Tokyo for nearly the same dirt cheap prices.
They also fly to Australia. They fly a lot now. I don't think you can go to Australia for quite that cheap, but awesome airline. We loved it. They were incredible. The in-flight crew, they wear these kind of modern versions of dress suits, like fitted dress suits with matching color ties, and then jeans. Like jeans. They wear jeans. But the absolute coolest thing about Jeon Air was the safety information cards. So a long time ago on a flight, kids and I were messing around. We decided to take a look at the in-flight safety information card and see, you know, what we thought they said. Like if we didn't have any interpretations, what did the safety card say? So now, from now on, we always do it. So Pi pulled out an information card and she started looking at all the pictures. And I didn't pay any attention to her. So then she pointed one out to me and she was like, she's old enough now that she's actually taken on a lot of my characteristics. But she points to it and she says, "This is ridiculous." So I looked over. It is a picture of an evacuation over land. And what do? Well, you get off the aircraft and you go meet the giraffes.
Yep. Or the mermaids.
Well, that's if in a water evacuation, of course. And most of them are topless. So take that into consideration. Some other things are, if you're going to exit from exit B, only the punk rockers can help you. If there is fire in the cabin, that is not the time to walk through the cabin on your hands. So if you're an acrobat, no time to show off.
Yeah, for those watching on YouTube, we'll show some pictures because we're not doing it justice.
So much fun. So that was a really, really fun. The in-flight crew members were really fun. They took Molasses for a little while and played with her. Took some photos and then emailed us those photos. So we had a great time. Okay, $15 flights. Last minute. We bought them Monday and we left Tuesday. So this isn't far in advance. We made a ton of plans. It was awesome. Found out about Jeon Air from some friends at our church. Booked the flights and we went. The flights coming home weren't quite as cheap. They were $47 a piece. But it was awesome. We got to go for a fraction of what we would have expected to be able to go for. And we got to go to Jeju Island, which is known as
the Hawaii of Korea. And I think that's somewhat true.
Yeah.
Like once we got there, there's so much to hike and do and see, and beaches and fruit and all sorts of good stuff.
Yeah.
Volcanoes. That's a big similarity too.
Yeah. So the three things that Jeju Island is famous for are halabangs, which is a type of citrus orange fruit, peanuts that are also grown there, and black pork. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the halabangs for a minute.
So halabangs are just kind of well, they're oranges, right?
But they're really sweet oranges. They're almost like mandarin, but full size.
But they have like a thicker, lumpier peel on them. But they're delicious, and they grow them like crazy there. And I think they grow them year-round because we noticed a lot of orange orchards, but then tons, and just the place is just peppered with greenhouses so that they can grow these oranges year-round that they're famous for.
The peanuts, we didn't really have much up close interaction with those, not like the orchard trees we saw everywhere, but peanut ice cream is something that you really want to get there, and you can find it at any one of the outdoor markets, and it's super good.
It is awesome.
And the last thing that Jeju Island is known for is their black pork,
which I think if you're in like California or some of those areas where you can hunt wild boar, you've got those black like javelina, but I think from what I understand, these are a little bit more domesticated black pigs that have a lot of hair on them, and that is one of the big delicacies there is these black pork, and you can go to lots of black pork restaurants where they serve it Korean barbecue style. One of the interesting things is to prove that you're getting black pork and not regular pork, is that on some of the fat in the skin they leave the hair on it, just to show that you're getting the real stuff and not regular pork.
All right, so we spent 4 days, 3 nights on Jeju Island, and we stayed at a hotel called Hotel Fine.
Hotel Fine. How was Hotel Fine?
It was fine.
It was fine.
It was just fine. Which is the joke we made before we came, and then it turned out to be 100% accurate. Hotel Fine was
yeah,
just
so
fine.
Our kids kept repeating the whole time, "It's fine, Mom. It's fine." And it was fine. It was a new hotel. It was clean. It was nice. It was we on booking.com, I put in the amount of adults and children we had, and I upgraded to the superior family studio apartment with an open balcony, and it was just like a regular, really small hotel room anywhere else. It was really packed.
It had one full and one twin bed, and they kind of acted a little annoyed when we brought all our kids with us. And
but the thing is, I had put them all in the booking, so it was actually written on there. They're like, "Wait, you have how many kids?" I'm like, "Right there on the screen." And the room itself was supposed to accommodate 4 grown adults, and I don't see how.
And they only provided 2 towels, so that was another thing.
Getting a crib for the baby was difficult.
We couldn't get it, and just so you know, if you're in South Korea and you need a baby crib at a hotel, you want to ask for a baby cot. That is what they understand.
And make sure the hotel provides them too.
Yeah, so we didn't bring our pack and play. So what we ended up doing was, finally, there was a lot of translation and gestures. They ended up bringing like a floor mat that I think that they were intending for the baby to sleep on. We ended up having the twins sleep on it. I took the big bed with the baby, and Gabriel and Claire shared the twin. And then I was worried all night long that the baby was going to fall off. So then I took the twin, smashed it against the wall, so she had one barrier with the wall on one side. I was the other one, and then we slept better after that.
And true to the hotel's name, it was fine.
It was fine.
It was fine.
So they did have a pool at the hotel that cost 50,000 won to go swim at. So,
which is about $50.
Yeah, so we did not participate in that activity, which was a bummer. That's the reason we chose that hotel. It was also near the harbor, and we couldn't tell from the map where that was, so we just could tell that it was near water.
So if you're staying at a hotel at Jeju Island, there are like the Lot World Hotel and some of the other ones.
The Hyatt Regency.
The Hyatt Regency says in their thing that the pool is included.
Yeah.
So make sure that you know that the pool is actually included, because just searching for a hotel with a pool doesn't mean you're going to be able to swim there for free.
Yeah. So we thought, at least if the pool doesn't work, we can go swimming in the ocean. But we were not near a beach. We were near the harbor. We were in Seogwipo, and we were close to a beach,
right,
but you couldn't swim at the beach at that hotel.
Yeah, the hotel was fine. The location was awesome.
So let's get into day one. So the location is awesome. It's on Chilsimi Food Street, which I'm sure I'm mispronouncing. And it is near the first waterfall we went to, which was Jeonbang. And it's a walking distance. And it was awesome. So Chilsimi Food Street, to kick us off, is not entirely what you would think. So you would think, oh, food and culture street, there's tons of different places to eat.
Yeah, it's Raw Fish Street,
Yeah.
which is great. It's like which sounds pretty cool. It wasn't a great place to take kids, so we didn't, and it's really expensive. But I think people go to Jeju Island usually to have an extravagant vacation, or it's really popular for a honeymoon destination. So I think they're used to people spending $120 per plate for food, which is what a lot of these fish market restaurants cost. So they have these big giant aquariums at the front of the entryway where they will grab your fish that you're going to eat for dinner, and basically you're eating fish that has been dead for maybe 2 seconds.
So the first night we left, after traveling all day, we got out of the airport, we took the bus to the hotel, which was about an hour, and we got to the hotel, we got situated, and we went to go find some food. And right across the street was the first seafood place we had, and they had these aquariums outside. So the kids and I went to take a look, and a man came out and he started fishing some fish out of the aquariums and put it in a bucket. And the kids thought it was so cool, and they were watching him. So he went back in the restaurant, got rid of the fish, and then came back out. Then he went and picked out a shrimp and a little crab. Now these are different than the typical shrimp and crabs. These crabs had the legs on the underside tucked into the body, and the shrimp had little tentacles that the kids could hang their finger.
Little pinchers.
Yeah, little pinchers that the shrimp could hang onto their finger from. And he let them play, and he talked to them, and it was really fun, and it was a really interesting experience, and seeing these types of species of these aquatic fish that they knew, but they hadn't seen these particular types before.
Yeah, so every morning they had to say good morning and good night, and at night they had to say good night to these fish in these big tanks.
So you walk all the way up that street, and then you're actually going to get to the waterfall. And then if you veer left, then you have the second part of Chilsimi Food Street, and that is all.
That was all the black pork, which we didn't find until like day 3 or 4, because we were wondering where we could get black pork. Turns out it was right there. We we'd walked up so many times. And that first night though, we were like starving and we couldn't like
function.
We couldn't function, and I didn't want to pay that much to eat the raw fish, which I think we would have loved just between the two of us. But so we found at the top of the Chilsemi Food Street this Chinese place, which I remember we were starving, and I ordered way too much because I didn't understand how many pot stickers came in one order. But we ordered a ridiculous amount of Chinese food, and Catherine was upset with me because I accidentally ordered so much. And then what happened?
We ate every bite.
We ate it all.
We were so hungry.
It was so good.
And it was so fabulous. It was so good. So that was really day one. It was really just traveling, getting to the hotel, checking out kind of our bearings. So day two, our plans were check out some waterfalls, hike Mount Halasan. Mount Halasan is the mountain that created Jeju Island, and then kind of wing it from there. And we knew that going up Mount Halasan would take up a big chunk of the day. So I had read online that there's a hike that's 5 hours long, and we knew we couldn't do that one. But we also knew there was like a 10-minute trail that we could do, and I wanted to kind of find one in the middle. But the one thing we definitely wanted to do was hike up to the summit, because the views are incredible. There's a crater that you can see, and it really gives you an idea of how incredible this volcano was that came up out of the ocean and created this incredible place. So first order of business was Jeonbang Waterfall, right by our apartment, or right by our hotel. Like we said, we walked up the street, maybe a 10-minute walk. There's a large gate you pass through, and then you walk down this path, and then there's a garden with some fish, and then you're basically at the entrance to the waterfall. So the waterfalls all do have an entrance fee on the island, but it's like $1.
Yeah,
so it's really cheap.
It's like $1.50 or $1, super cheap. So you buy the ticket and then you show it to someone else on your way down. The first waterfall was really cool. We met some photographers there from Lehi, Utah, actually. Yeah. And that one, the waterfall drains right into the ocean, so it's right
the only
ocean.
It's the only waterfall in Asia that empties directly into the ocean. But there are like lots of big boulders that you can climb out on, and you can go right up, feel the mist of the waterfall. And it was the biggest waterfall we saw while we were there. It was really beautiful. It was really captivating.
So yeah, so there were vendors like all over the place. Each waterfall had the same kind of vendors. A lot of them sold ice cream and the halabong and little black pig statues you can buy. A lot of souvenir stuff, and that was pretty commonplace to every waterfall we went to. I really enjoyed that one, especially because there was a little hike down to it, and there were just crowds of people, and you could go and feel the mist of the waterfall. A lot of the other ones you're quite a distance away. So that's like the most up close and personal waterfall in my opinion.
So after that, it was getting a little bit later in the day. Mount Halasan is in the center of the island, as you would presume, and so Gabriel here started to look up a taxi that would take us to the hiking starting point, and I just decided to look up which point we wanted to get to, because whichever hike we were going to do. And to get to the summit, you can only take the 5-hour hike.
Yeah, I think there were two. There's like a 5-hour easy and a 5-hour hard, and that's each way. So it's a 10 to 12-hour trip if you're just hiking it. And we of course know that with 4 little children, it's not a 5-hour hike. So it'd probably be like one day up and one day back. And so that would we were disappointed, but it kind of nixed that off of our plans.
And even if we felt like that was something we could have done, we weren't prepared. We didn't have water, we didn't have food, we didn't have the right shoes. We couldn't do it. So when we decided that wasn't going to be an option, there was another set of waterfalls. So the other set of waterfalls that we wanted to see was the Jeon. I am 100% sure I'm saying that absolutely wrong. But they are the other set of waterfalls that are in that vicinity, and they were about 10 minutes from our hotel as well, but in the opposite direction. So when we nixed off Mount Halasan, we decided to head down there. And these waterfalls are beautiful as well. Of course, I mean, a waterfall in nature. This place actually reminded me a lot of home. There were just a lot of really dense forests and trees everywhere, and it was gorgeous. The hikes along it are extremely beautiful. And really, these aren't really hikes.
No.
They're all paved pathways. They have stairs built in.
Well, and this one too, like, even gives you free strollers usage while you're there too. And so we grabbed a couple of the strollers, one to put Eclair in and one to put the baby in, just to make our lives easier.
Yeah.
And it was, except for the spots where there were only stair access.
Yeah, which they make you leave, and they have Yeah, only stairs, but they did have this really cool path along the water, so you have to cross over this bridge. And then there are stepping stones on the sides of it, and all these people are posing. So like one thing we've learned about Korea is they are very into taking photos. And they
Okay, so that waterfall, yeah, that was really big into selfies when we were leaving. A lot of picture taking. You couldn't get as close to that waterfall as we could the earlier one, which was kind of a bummer, but it was still really beautiful. And we met a really nice young couple from Australia.
from Tasmania.
And chatted with them up for a while and had a great time. So in front of that waterfall as well, they have like a lot of, it was a bigger marketplace. And they had those silkworm pupa that I really want to eat, but I didn't get there.
So we did end up getting some chocolates at this one, and we got some, they're like orange tarts, so they're made out of the holobongs, and they're really just like a tart. They have this pastry crust, and they're covered in like this orange, like a jelly type filling, and they're really good.
Yeah.
They were really yummy. We also picked up some chocolates that have cactus in them and raspberry, and we're gonna have the kids do a taste test, and we'll show that. We're gonna hand it over to them for a minute.
Welcome to the Twins Take Taste Test. We're going to try some Jeju Oolong chocolate. So there is Jeju. There's a yummy fruit called a holobong in Jeju, and that's the first chocolate we're going to try. There is holobong, tangerine, green tea, raspberry, and cactus chocolate. We're going to open it. Yeah. Says celebrating the flavor and freshness of nature. Open it yet? You opened it? Okay. So we get one for each. This is how the packaging on it looks. Airfare. Says Jeju Holobong chocolate. Yeah. Holobong. So open it up. We're gonna open it up. They're like these little guys. They're like these little Korean people. And the holobong's on the top and the chocolate's on the back. Yeah. It's just like a holobong. And it tastes unbelievably sweet. Yeah. And it's milk chocolate on the back. Tastes really, really good too. Yep. It's crunchy. And they're shaped like that. And Koreans believe that these represent love.
Yeah, so if you imagine you go to Hawaii and they have all those macadamia chocolates that everyone buys cases loads of when you leave to go back to the airport. So Jeju Island's exactly like that, but with their like orange chocolates and orange tarts, and then boxes of oranges. So just like in Hawaii, people have just case loads of those macadamia chocolates. These are like, everybody has each armful of candies and oranges, and we were worried that I wasn't gonna have room for my carry-on because people have so many oranges.
Yeah. So we were pretty much done for the day. It was an exhausting day. We had walked a ton. We'd hiked to all these waterfalls. We'd really enjoyed ourselves, but we found out we were right near the Saguipo submarine.
Oh, right. Yeah,
and it was something that we had read a lot about, and it's an actual submarine. You go down 60 meters under the water next to this coral reef. So another thing that is really cool about Jeju is from the mountain that created Jeju Island, there are tons of little small little islands that are all the way out to sea, and you can see them all from the mainland, and they just kind of dot the ocean. So this submarine goes out to one of those, one of the larger ones, and it explores the coral reef that is underneath the water right there. A sunken ship that, crashed there.
So it goes down about 40 meters, and it was the third ever tourist submarine. So an actual submarine that carries tourists, and it has the Guinness Book World Record for the safest tourist submarine.
Yeah. So they haven't had any accidents in, I think, 30 years, which I'm not really sure, because he was bumping that coral reef like every second, but they had tires on the side of it.
Yeah. So what constitutes an accident? I think maybe
not coming back up. I don't know.
But it was super cool. It was
really fun.
We'll show some videos.
So the only thing is, I do feel a little bit like we didn't get our full value, and that is because everybody else on the boat, and again, Korea is not really known for large families, but everybody else had about 2 people per window, so per porthole. But they stuck all 6 of us into one. So the 3 kids were up front, and they were seeing everything, and then we kind of got to see through the slits of where they were. And because it was a coral reef and an island, and it was smaller, you weren't watching out of both sides. So on going down, we were on one side of the submarine. On the other side coming up, we were on the other. And I feel like we really should have gotten 2 porthole windows. We paid the same price as everybody else, and it wasn't necessarily a good value for us to all have to share the same one.
And I would say because of that, it was a really cool experience to do once, but I don't know if it's worth doing again. Yeah. But it was fun.
Yeah, so
it was fine.
It was fine. It was just fine. So that wrapped up day 1. After that, I didn't even want to walk home, but we couldn't get a taxi driver to find our location.
It was bad news.
So that was rough. We made it all the way back, and then we couldn't even find a place to eat. Like, we were exhausted, and everybody was begging to eat at the Chinese food restaurant again. So that is exactly what we did, and we ordered the same exact amount of food minus 1 plate of pot stickers.
Super good. And once again, it was as good as we remembered.
It was so good. It was amazing. And I just want to give a little shout out to this Chinese restaurant. They were so nice. They were so gracious. They were so helpful. They told us how to eat their food. Everything comes separated, so the noodles aren't mixed in with the sauce. The sweet and sour pork isn't mixed in with the sauce, so they kind of explained to us how to do it. And the sweet and sour pork, we thought it would be different. We thought it would be a... sorry. We thought it would be unlike what we were used to. But it ended up being just like a lot like what we're used to with some differences.
Good. Yeah, it was like a clear glaze that they put on it, but you dipped it in, and it was the best tasting sweet and sour pork I've ever had.
Yeah, it was actually tinged a little purple. You could see like the berry, or
I think they used grapes or something.
Yeah, it was absolutely one of the best things that we not only ate on Jeju Island, but we've eaten during our entire time here in Korea. It was so good.
And so after that, because we'd eaten at the Chinese place so many times, we really didn't want to do that again. And so Catherine and most of the kids walked back to the hotel, and Widmore and I set off to explore to see what else there was. And that's
I went back with Widmore and Molasses, and you took the little girls. You took Pie and Eclair. Because Widmore and I were going to go swimming.
Wow.
You remember that different?
My memories. Ugh. I remember Budapest completely different. Okay, so I took the girls apparently, and we found I found all the pork places. There's like a whole street of pork.
Just like one restaurant over if we had just taken the time to do it. So that was day 1. So day 2, we decided that we would go to a water park. It was called Water World. And so there's 2. There's Ocean Park and there's Water World. And Ocean Park is on the coast, opposite coast of where we were staying, over near the island of Udo. And it looked very geared towards adults. It had a lot of water vehicles. If you look on our blog and you check out the Hyatt Regency in Orlando, you can see a lot of water vehicles. And that's kind of what we saw happening on this island. And jet skis and stuff like that. And there was a big like diving platform you could jump off of, and you didn't jump into the ocean, you jumped onto like a bouncy thing in the ocean. And we just didn't know how much they were really going to allow the kids to do, and we didn't want to make the trek all the way out there and then for them to be disappointed. So we found one near our place, near our hotel, called Water World, and it was geared towards kids, and it was an indoor/outdoor water park, and we thought that we would spend the day doing that.
Yeah, and so we had a lot of epiphanies come from this experience. We learned all of the rules of water parks, or even swimming with kids in Korea. number one rule, you have to have a swim cap. If you don't have a swim cap, you can't swim. I don't know if you're required to have goggles, but every kid like wears the same thing. So we got to this water park and we were really excited. It had a really cool like shark head at the entrance, and it's called Water World, and it's a water park / Jjimjilbang, which we were excited about too. And so we paid for both the Jjimjilbang and the water park. And so we went and met inside, went through the Jjimjilbang, got to the water park to discover that it was shoulder to shoulder, just packed with kids, like just packed. The water, like I don't know if our kids could have even squeezed into the water next to these other kids.
There definitely wasn't room for us as parents, and one of the reasons we wanted to go to a water park was to spend time with the kids. There was also nowhere to sit. They had lounge chairs all around the indoor water area, but they all had signs on them, which we presume meant no using, no sitting. So we were kind of at a loss of what to do.
Yeah, and our kids were severely underdressed. We were just wearing like our American swimsuits, which is trunks and a one-piece swimsuit for the girls. And we didn't have the full t-shirt, the like swim
full
trunks.
wetsuit.
Most of them wear swim shoes, goggles, and caps. And so we were just like, I don't think there's anything we could do. So Catherine went out and told the person at the front desk that we didn't have swim caps, and politely asked if we could have a refund, and she politely gave it to us, no problem. But that kind of shot our whole day plans for that, which actually turned into a blessing in disguise, because I did a quick search for beaches nearby, and we were able to take a quick taxi ride to the nearest public beach, which when we got out, you end up on a cliffside and a restaurant which is called
The Cliff.
The Cliff, on the cliffside. It was like this happy and booming little place. And
They had a DJ, they had all these places to lounge out that didn't cost anything.
But they had
like
signs that say they were for customers of the Cliff only.
Yeah.
So
we got some food.
So gladly we got some food. We got some pizza, hamburgers, and fish and chips, which were just incredible.
Oh, we were so hungry, and they were so good.
Yeah, and we sat out on the kind of lounge couch umbrellaed areas for a while and enjoyed that. Took pictures of the scenery before we walked down to the beach.
And it was beautiful.
The beach was so beautiful. They had a lot of people taking surfing lessons there. A lot of people were out playing in the water. But it was still like kind of cool wintertime, so it wasn't packed.
Yeah, it was beautiful. And the sand was really thick. Molasses has been to the beach twice now. This was her second time. First time was in Puerto Rico. She loved it. She has been pooping out sand for days. But
she's just eating the sand.
It was so much fun for her. She loved like swimming in the sand. She didn't really get in the water because it was extremely cold, but she had a lot of fun. We all buried each other in the sand. There is, when you leave, there is a wash station, so you're able to get washed off, though this sand was super thick and it really just stuck with you. But it was so much fun. And we didn't spend too long. We really haven't been out in the sun much so far this summer, and so we didn't want to stay out too long and regret it the next day. So we played for a little bit. It was a little bit overcast, so we felt good about 2 hours, and that did prove to be, there's another ant. That did prove to be just about perfect. And we read again that there is another set of waterfalls near this very public beach. And so we wanted to check out more waterfalls because we had had so much fun the day before.
So we decided to walk to those ones, and it was a pretty long jaunt.
So you had to go across the street and then way up to the top of this kind of little faux mountain that's there. And you get to cross this bridge that you can see actually from the parking lot of the beach. And it is the same name as the other waterfalls that we went to, the second set of waterfalls, but it has an E in the middle instead of an I. So these have 3 waterfalls. One waterfall you can only see after a long, heavy rain, and it is set in these lava tubes. It comes over the lava tubes. So you can see this bridge, it's like an arc over this gully, and you can see it. It has 7 nymphs on it, and it's white and red, and it's really beautiful. So you cross over the bridge, then you see the Fountain of 5 Blessings, where you throw a coin in, and then you can choose which animal you want to stand in front of for which blessing that you want to get. And if you make it into the pot in the middle, then you get that blessing. And we all tried, we all missed, so we're not getting any blessings.
No blessings.
Not from the fountain anyway.
So these waterfalls were really cool. My biggest memory from them is the insane amount of steps you have to take.
Okay, so we counted after we saw Waterfall 1, after we saw Waterfall 2, and then after we saw Waterfall 3. At the very end of it, we were like, okay, let's count these steps. So that was the twins' task on the way up, to count just to the last waterfall. To leave the waterfall, get back to the entrance, 274 steps.
Oh, and we'd hiked an insane amount. So I was like exhausted. I was carrying Miss Molasses up and down all these steps, but it was really cool. These wooden steps into like this canyon area.
That waterfall is set in the lava. It cascades over the lava tubes, and there actually is a little like tunnel that you can go through, but they had that blocked off, unfortunately, which we were definitely going to try and hijack it, but we couldn't. Then the next waterfall was Waterfall Number Two, and it had another insane amount of stairs, and it was beautiful, and it cascaded. So it had the waterfall, and then the water just continued running down, and you can see all of that along the hike to it, and it was stupendous. And then the third waterfall is on the opposite side. So you come back out towards the entrance after crossing the bridge, and then that's when you go down a lot of stairs to get to it. There's even a rest area halfway down because there are so many stairs, and that's the third one. And it was actually probably the least majestic. It was the smallest of the two, and I got there first. Everybody was a little bit behind me, and there was a woman enjoying it by herself, and she asked me to take her photo. She was a Korean woman, and she wanted a photo full length with the waterfall. Then she wanted one waist up with the waterfall. Then she wanted one turned around contemplatively looking at the waterfall, and a few more. So I took quite a few photos with her, and I should have gotten a selfie with her. That would have been fun, but
yeah, one thing I'll say about these waterfalls in particular is they have these beautiful crystal clear pools that they all fell it, like the waterfall emptied into, and they just looked like they would be super fun to swim in. But what would happen if you swam in those?
Oh man, you'd get that universal X sign.
No, there was science.
Oh, you would have a heart attack.
Yeah. There's no questions. You will have a heart attack if you swim in them.
You will be having heart attacks.
Which reading into it, I did hear the mountain water is really cold. But I don't know about having a heart attack.
Yeah. But they did get the universal no sign. The girls dipped their toes in the waterfall where we met the couple from Tasmania, and the locals were not too keen on that. So, all right, so that wrapped up day 2. Or day 3 technically, but day 2 exploring the island, and we wrapped up at the Black Pork restaurant.
Yeah,
so we chose one that was more of a Korean barbecue, and it was really interesting. We did everything wrong.
Yeah, this is the one time when I felt completely inept eating in Korea. And so they get the pork and they give it to you, and you sit and finish it off crisping above the coals. I think we started to burn ours, and the lady kind of was freaking out, trying to fix us from burning our pork. And we had a basket full of leaves and lettuce leaves, which is pretty common, and some hot peppers.
Well, partly we were waiting because we were trying to watch what the table next to us was doing. And they were waiting for their black pork to finish, and ours had come a little bit earlier, so we were trying to see really what the customs were and how to navigate this whole Korean barbecue black pork dinner. And we saw the woman there pick up one of the peppers that looked like a small bell pepper, a green bell pepper, and just eat it. And she just ate it.
And she's just munching on it. So,
yeah.
Oh, so that's what you do. So I picked up one of them and I took a bite of it.
And gave it to me. Tasted fine. A little bit bitter.
Like a green pepper. I thought no big deal. And so I gave that one to Catherine, and I picked up the second one in our basket, and I took a big bite out of it, like half of it. And I'm okay with hot things. But this just felt like liquid molten lava just filled up my mouth, and I was gonna cry.
So he was sitting there like this.
Oh, it was so hot.
I thought he was gonna pass out, and everybody's like, "Are you okay? Are you okay?" And he would not respond. I mean, he was like, it was like he left the planet. He would not respond.
I wasn't out of it. I just didn't want to talk to anyone. I just wanted to be left alone in my pain. And so I never ever spit food out because it's the rudest thing ever. But I had to spit that pepper out because it was going to murder me if I didn't. And so Catherine got up to try and find some juice or some water. So she's talking to our waitress, trying to ask for some juice or some liquid, and she saw a bottle of something drinkable.
It looked like soda
at the table next to us, and so they bring me a plastic bottle of wine. So I couldn't drink that, and so I just kind of waited for the pain to dissipate.
It took a good 10 minutes.
It took a while, but then find out the way to eat black pork is you kind of wrap them up like little tacos with kimchi and
hot sauce
and those little
garlic,
those leaves, and it was good. It was good. I think if we had it to do again, we'd try and I think we'd have to be a little bit more knowledgeable.
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, so that was fun. It was definitely a fun experience. We did, even though the pain had mostly subsided, we still went and got a Fanta. He guzzled it, like half of it in one shot. So that pain was definitely still present.
My lips were still tingling, you know.
All right, so another fun thing we found on Jeju Island near Hotel Fine was a playground. And right outside the playground was a speed radar. And the kids had so much fun running back and forth and testing how fast they could run. So for the record, Pi got up to 21 kilometers per hour. Widmore got up to 18. And then Eclair even got up to 16. So Widmore's got some work cut out for him if he's going to keep up with these girls and his family. So that was really fun. And then there was a school with a playground just right around the corner. And that was super fun. They had so many jungle gyms to climb on, monkey bars, seesaws, slides. It was fun. The kids begged to go every night and we obliged. And that was kind of how we ended our day. So the next day was our departure day.
Yep.
Did you have something you wanted to add?
No.
So the next day was our departure day, and it was raining. It was pouring rain, so we really couldn't do anything outdoors.
Yep. So we were looking for something indoors to go do, and Catherine came across the April 3rd
Peace Park.
Peace Park, and it was something I had no idea about. Catherine, I think, had some ideas from the internet, and so we got a taxi and headed out there.
Yeah, and it was great. It was a window into what happened in the 1950s that separated North and South Korea. Now, if you're anything like me, I didn't realize North and South Korea were unified up until just less than a century ago. Just about 70 years ago, they were divided. It was right after World War II, and it was incredible to learn about the history and how this happened and who was involved, and really gain the historical perspective from the people who lived it, who experienced it in the motherland here of where it happened. So I feel like we get a lot of history in America, but it's an Americanized version. And so it was really, really compelling to be able to learn about it here at the source.
Yeah, so be forewarned if you're traveling with kids, depending on your sensibilities. We tend to expose our kids to a lot of the truthful things that happen out there, but there are a lot of war atrocities that they cover that was very somber experience. It was very contemplative and really sad. Anytime you bring into war, it's kind of ugly, right? But it was very educational. Like, I learned more about how North and South Korea came to be than probably from anything else up to this point, and it really changed the way I kind of look at things.
Also, just as a little foreshadowing, we will be going to North Korea during this trip, at least the DMZ zone, which is the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. You can see North Korea, you can see the fake village that they have across the Freedom Bridge, and we will definitely be doing that. So hit subscribe, definitely like these videos so that you can be aware. You'll be next in line to see when we end up doing that tour, and we're looking forward to it. So this gave us definitely some historical perspective to take into that, to kind of understand the conflict of how that happened before we go and do that.
So we spent quite a bit of time there, looking around, checking. We went through the whole interior. They have an outdoor park as well, but it was raining, so we didn't visit that. So after that, we called a taxi and headed. We wanted to go somewhere near the airport, and I'm so glad we did. We chose this market. It was a semi-outdoor market. It was like covered, but it's one of the biggest markets near the airport in Jeju.
I think it's the oldest running market in Jeju. It was huge. It was outdoors. They had tons of vendors. We have some videos, and we saw Claire talked about her favorite thing to do to squeeze the fish. So we walked by a vendor. Vendors, just in general, the Korean people are so kind and generous, and they are so sweet to our children. And she pulled out some fish. She pulled out an octopus. She pulled out some spoonfish, and she put them in a little bowl that they could squeeze and they could touch, they could play with. The octopus stuck to them, and they thought it was so cool. We spent a good 10-20 minutes there.
10-20 minutes playing with those fish, and the vendors there got as big a kick out of it as our kids did.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. And like, everyone there kept giving our kids candy. Like, we ended up with a big bag full of candy just from people giving it to them.
You'll see, if you watch the videos over on YouTube or on the blog, you'll hear them counting 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, they count our kids. It's fun. Everybody stopped. They wanted to play, talk to them. But it was a lot of fun. We got to see a lot of really interesting things. got to see a lot of different types of seafood. Excuse me. We had tried a lot more black pork there.
Black pork. We get a lot of like fish. We just ate from all the vendors in there, and it was super fun. So one of the sections we walked through had like all the street cart food vendors that were kind of rained out, so they were all parked. But man, they looked so good if they would have been opened on a non-cloudy day. So it would be fun to go see. That's
where we got our peanut ice cream. They had lots of wares. There was a whole fabric section. There were people that were there that could make your clothes for you there on the spot. We saw them working. It was just really interesting. It was one of the most interesting places we went to during our time on Jeju that really gave you an idea of the culture there.
Yeah, so I think it was a great finale. We actually got to do more than I thought we would on that rainy final day.
Wow.
And so we just had our carry-on luggage with us. Then we grabbed a taxi to the airport, and that was the end of our Jeju trip.
So we just finished
that, and now I will be starting up my teaching very soon here. So our podcast will maybe not be as adventurous, but we will be trying to cover more of the local close stuff, kind of the day-to-day, what it's like being kind of a temporary expat in Korea and a family working abroad.
So we do still have some things. We still need to get out to Chinatown and check out the Black Bean Museum. We still need to get out to Walmedo Island. There's a couple islands around here we want to hit.
I think there's so much locally that is yet to be explored. So I think we'll still have plenty to talk about, for sure.
He's still going to eat the silkworm, so stay tuned for that. Go ahead and check back in with us. Please hit subscribe if you're interested in seeing more what we do here in South Korea and hereafter on our adventures with Diapers on a Plane.
Let us know what you think about the outdoor setting. Was it too noisy? Is our camera too shaky? We're going to get a tripod. But definitely give us some feedback.
You can find us on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, on MeWe.
We just got a MeWe page, and there's nobody on MeWe, so come like our page.
And of course, if you are not watching this on YouTube, you can find us on YouTube as well, which if you enjoy watching as well as seeing the videos and of the stuff we talk about, you can hit us up over there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week on Tuesdays about 8:30 a.m. That's like in between Eastern and Mountain Standard Time. And we will see you next week.
All right. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.